This is a paper collage piece by Holly Chastain. You can find her on Instagram at Holly Chastain. I love this piece because I think the composition is excellent, and I like the variety of papers she uses. She used just plain notebook paper for the ocean spray coming out of the shell, which I think is a lot of fun. And I love that she did the ship in black with colored flags. The other reason this piece speaks to me is because a therapist once told me that when we experience a lot of emotional pain that seems unrelated to something specific, it could be because we are outgrowing our shell. The idea is that we build a protective shell around ourselves that is made up of our beliefs, principles, patterns of behavior, and the like. As we learn new things and have new experiences, we grow and become too big for our shell, and it becomes emotionally and spiritually painful. In order to make the pain go away, we have to create a new shell. As the Nautilus grows, it builds new shell material onto the old shell, making a bigger space to live in. Then it seals off the part it was living in, which creates several chambers. So just like us, the Nautilus carries its historical baggage around wherever it goes. Unlike us, it's able to seal it off so it doesn't pop up at inconvenient times and cause it to, say, pick a fight with its partner because it was triggered by something they said. This is my first Nautilus shell attempt with watercolors, based on Holly Chastain's work. I liked how it turned out, except that I know a Nautilus shell, like almost everything in nature, follows the golden ratio proportions, and this one doesn't, and that's going to bug me. If you're not familiar, the golden ratio is 1.61, and it is considered to be the most pleasing proportion to the human eye. What's amazing is that just about everything in nature follows the golden mean. If you'd like to learn more about it, just search for golden ratio on the internet and a ton of information will come up. I just think it's amazing that there is such a thing as a golden ratio in the world. So I found a picture of a cross-section of a Nautilus shell that shows the golden spiral in the sections. Then I traced the lines I wanted to transfer to the watercolor in pen to see them better. Okay, so what I'm about to show you is a very unconventional use of a light box for seasonal affective disorder. Watercolor paper is very thick, and I tried to tape it to a window so I could see the lines from the Nautilus shell underneath, but it wasn't enough light. I was thinking to myself, gosh, if only I had a light box. And then I remembered I do have a light box. I sit in front of it every morning in the winter so I don't get sad. I can pretty much guarantee that the makers of this light box would not endorse this way of using it. I also know that you have to be careful not to get too close to the surface of the light because you can burn your retinas. So what I'm saying is, I still have my retinas, but I can't officially recommend this technique. I've got my Nautilus chambers traced onto the watercolor paper, so I'm ready to paint. I decided to fill in extra chambers as in Holly Chastain's work. From the previous pictures we've seen of a Nautilus shell, we know this isn't how it looks because the Nautilus needs the space in those biggest 4 or 5 chambers to live, but I took some artistic liberties. I start with my smallest watercolor brush and a dark red color. After I fill in the first space with the red, I dry the brush with a paper towel and suck up some of the extra paint, which leaves a lighter space in the middle with darker edges. I like the extra dimension this technique creates. The nice thing about watercolor is that if you mess up a little bit and the paint gets into a spot where you don't want it to go, if you're really quick, you can just blot it up with a paper towel. As I paint, I don't really have the colors planned out beforehand. I just choose ones that I think will look good next to each other, and I'm trying to balance out the colors across the palette. I'm leaving thin white spaces in between the colors to add some more definition, and because it's easy to accidentally mix colors even if the last section is dry. I know that there is a masking product you can get that you can paint onto the paper beforehand that will keep certain parts of your paper white, but I kind of enjoy the precision needed to do it without the masking. Also, I don't think I'm ready for that level of advanced watercolor product use. Here is where I give up my small watercolor brush and start using what is known as the mop brush. I'm still learning how to use it properly, but it's pretty amazing because the point is fine enough to do detail work, but it also holds lots of pigment and you can cover large swaths of paper with one go. I've also seen people load their mop brush with different colors and then use it to paint flower petals or plants, and it looks fantastic. Okay, last section. And this is the end of part 1 of this watercolor painting. In the next part, I'll do the ocean spray and the ship. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave comments or feedback.